to the Wild Protea on a Friday with myself, Clinton Jarman. As usual, on a Friday we go through all the latest happenings in sport, in South African sport, over the past week or so. Sorry, and obviously this week. Just before I get started, guys, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel, The Fair Digest, as well as our online magazine, thefairdigest.com. So straight into it, guys. Obviously, you guys know the quarterfinals of the rugby are upon us. We know our opponent now. Our opponent is Japan. That game will take place on Sunday at 12:15 Central African time. So don't miss that one, guys. Obviously, we're going to be behind the box and supporting them all the way. So in honor of that, I thought I'd just go through what I think will happen and my score prediction, and also our game plan going forward, and also just the side as well. So the Boks will be fielding the same starting 11 that they did. 11. Sorry. The same starting 15 that they did for the Italians. Now, I believe that that's probably our strongest squad at the moment, given the fact that Trevor Nyakani is still injured. So your squad will be Beast and Tawarira, Bongi Manambi, Frans Malherbe, then you've got Eben and Lut at lock. The loose trio is obviously going to be Peter Steph, Sia, and Dwayne, and then 9 will be Faf, 10 will be Pollard, 12 Dialendi, 13 14 Colby, 15 Villilu, and I don't think I said 11. Yeah, 11 will be Mapimpi, sorry. So yeah, guys, probably our strongest starting 11. 11. Sorry, there's 15 players in rugby. Got to remember that. Probably our strongest starting 15, I'd say. There's been some people calling for changes lately, but I think we've got to be careful in making those changes. And you're just looking at who those guys did well against. It was the likes of Canada, it was the likes of Namibia, so I don't think we should read too much into those games. I read more into the game against Italy because they were competitive for a while in that game, and had they not got a red card in that game, they were right on our line, and things could have been a lot different for us there. So yeah, guys, I would go with the guys that I think is gonna do it in the precious. My words are all messed up today. Pressure situation, and I think these are the guys. You've got the experience of Villi at the back there. You've got the experience of Sia in the forwards, and also Dwayne as well. And also 100 Pollard is pretty experienced in the back line as well now these days. So I think our side is pretty complete, and I think our game plan is simple. So our game plan is basically to kick the ball, kick it well, put pressure on the opponent, and force them into point scoring positions. And then once we get in those positions, to score or take points. The best example of that was the game that we actually played against Japan before the World Cup. We put pressure on them. Our kicking was excellent that day. Faf with a number of box kicks that were perfectly placed for Villi and Mapimpi and Cheslin to get up and chase and put pressure on, and force the Japanese side into mistakes, and we capitalized early and often. Another part of our game plan is obviously our sort of rush defense. Now, what our defense does is we come up at sort of like 13 and force the ball inwards to our bigger tacklers. The Peter Steffs and the Dwayne van Beelens and these guys. And once these guys get hold of you, you don't get very far. So that's our game plan in a nutshell. I'm guessing that the Japanese will have a way of combating that. We've seen it work quite well when was it New Zealand? Yes, New Zealand. They implemented that little chip in behind. So I think Villi's going to be important on the weekend. on Sunday, because I think he's going to have to hold back on that defensive structure. And I think what Rassie might do is try and get the flankers more involved in that defensive structure, the flankers or the eighth man, or perhaps even Peter Steff. We know how mobile he is. So Peter Steff, Eben. You know how mobile Eben can be. So I think he'll try and implement that so that Willie can be at the back for those little kicks in behind that I think will be effective against our defensive structure. So let me just look at a few things here. Yes, changes that I would make to the match day 23. There's not many. I think all the guys have done well. Lukani Am's been great. Damien's been Delendi's been solid. Pollard's kicking is letting down a little bit, but his general play has been pretty good. Faf had one sort of off game and then one good game, so hopefully he's after that first game he's now turned on and ready to go. Willy's experience that he brings and his ability to take pressure off Pollard, as I've said a number of times before, is excellent, and I think that'll be a major factor. And then the forwards pretty much speak for themselves. You look at the workload of the forwards, the guys in the forwards, and it's exceptional. The amount of tackles that Eben gets through, and Peter Steff, and the rucks that Lood hits, and his running meters, and Bongi's ability to throw the line out exceptionally well. He hits his targets, and he hits his targets at pace, which is important for line out throwers. You got to hit the target, and you got to hit the target. You can't really just float it up there, because then you get a chance that your ball might be stolen. Although I don't really think so with the Japanese guys. Their lineup hasn't been functioning as well of late, and they were under tremendous pressure in the scrums against the Scots. So expect that on Sunday. Expect us to want to scrum. If we win penalties in our own half, or if they knock the ball on in our own half, expect us to scrum well and win that penalty and get down the field again. I think that tactic will be used quite a lot. I think it will be used to get points as well. So guys, now just want to have a look at the other quarterfinals and just mention how they might impact us. So the other quarterfinals are England and Australia, New Zealand and Ireland. That'll be played on Saturday, and then Sunday is Wales and France. That game will be before our game. How that affects us? Well, the winner of the France and the Wales and France game will face them. And I must admit that I'm not too scared of any of those sides. First we have to obviously beat who's in front of us, Japan. But I'm not too scared of Wales or France at this stage. I heard I was watching the Wales game the other day, and Butch James was singing their praises for the way they play rugby is sort of playoff rugby, and we need to be careful. But I think the way we play rugby is also playoff rugby as well. I think we were never, with this game plan that we implement of putting pressure on the other team, it's never meant to be for the pool stages where you only really have one, maybe two tough games. It's for the latter stages of the tournament, because the more pressure you put on your opponent in the quarterfinal, semi-final and final, the more mistakes that they tend to make, and as long as you can limit your mistakes, you win those games. So it would be an interesting tussle if Wales get through against France and we get through against Japan. But having said that, I'm not counting my chickens just yet. Japan is a proud nation. They will be out to prove that they deserve their place, and they'll be out to prove that they can beat us once again. And then on the other side of that draw, England, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland. Most people will probably think that England and New Zealand would get through that one. I am one of those people as well. I just don't see. I think Australia is just struggling. Michael Checker making surprise selections just doesn't bode well in a World Cup quarter final. I just don't think that you should be making these kind of surprise selections at this time. And it's just a bit of a weird one. for me. So I just don't think Australia are going to get through in that one. On their day, they can beat anyone, but I think England's going to have too much for them. On the other side of the draw, you've got New Zealand and Ireland. Now, this should be an interesting game because, Ireland have beaten New Zealand quite a few times over the last few years, and be interesting to see if they can muster up one big performance here. Because if they get through, the Six Nations sides are sort of close together, and they'd fancy themselves against England. So, I still think that New Zealand will have enough, though. I really do, and I think an England-New Zealand semi-final is going to be an absolute cracker. So we'll have to wait and see on those ones, but I think that'll be the semi-final clash. I think it'll be England, New Zealand, and us and Wales, but we'll have to wait and see. As usual, we'll bring it to you next week. If South Africa get through, we'll bring it to you. Well, even if they don't get through, we'll bring the review to you here on the Wild Protea. Sorry, I was just going through changes that I would make to the Bok 23. I'd only make 2 changes. I'd bring in Skulk Brits for Malcolm Marx. I just think Marx's confidence is not high, and I think he could make a costly error coming off the bench. Whereas I think Brits has the not the international experience, but the world rugby experience to come off the bench and make a massive impact. One other change I'd make is Damien Willemse in for Frans Steyn. Now I know that's a bit of a risky one, but I just think Damien can cover multiple positions, and I think he'd be better suited coming on if Pollard had to get injured. He is naturally a fly-half. I know he's played a lot of rugby lately at fullback and wing, but he is a natural fly-half, and I think that's his best position, and I think that is his future position in the Springbok jumper. So I'd love to see him there, and I just think he can play 10, 12, 13, 14, 11, 15, so he covers the whole back line, and I just think he's more of an impact player. I think he can come on, and if the game is tight, he can make something happen. Having said that, France's experience will count for a lot in this tournament. Also, his long-range kicking ability could be key at the end. If you need a 55, 60-meter kick to win the game with 5 minutes to go, France is your man. And he might be in the team just for that, which, if he comes on and does it, would be a masterstroke from Rassie. So, yeah, guys, let's obviously support the Boks and make sure that we get behind our team and we show them support, we show them love. I think they can get through this one, and I think they can get through the next one. So 2 more games and then it's the big one. So hopefully we can turn up for these 2 games and bring the trophy back home for a 3rd time. Okay, moving on. We've got the Eben Etzebeth story. Now this is a story that's been developing since just before the Boks left for the World Cup, or just before it started really. So obviously you guys will know from previous podcasts and stories that I've written on the articles I've written on the Fair Digest online, or the fairdigest.com, that Eben Etzebeth found himself in a bit of hot water by the South African I forget now, Human Rights Commission, yes. And so they try to, there's some people trying to get, I think it's over R1 million in compensation and damages, and they want him to apologize for a bar fight or a bar brawl, and there was apparently some racial slurs and that sort of thing. And Eben obviously came out and denied it. He's actually come out with a version of events that he's put together. So he's basically said that there were 2 separate incidents. One happened at the yacht club, I believe, where he was asked to take his cap off by the bouncers outside. He then turned his cap reverse and was allowed in. So, in my view, if the cap should have come off, they should have stopped him there again and said, no, not reverse, off. And then, he probably would have done it and it would have been a non-issue. So then Eben goes on to say that he was confronted inside the yacht club by a white male, and this white male was abrupt, he was rude, he was not very respectful towards anyone around him in telling Eben, hey, you can't wear that cap. So I can only imagine the words that must have been said, like, Eben says he was a bit rude. Eben then went over to him afterwards and was like, look, yeah, but you need to apologize because you were rude, and I've got my family here and stuff like that. Eben goes on to say that, look guys, I'm paraphrasing here, it's not the exact story, so he goes on to say that there was never a racial incident there, and the guy later apologized, and his family apologized for in the manner in which they had asked him to remove his cap, and they said that they're sorry and stuff like that. The story continues. It goes on to say that at around, I think it was 12 o'clock a.m. that they went to this watergat, watering hole, bar / restaurant or whatever, and they were there for a while. And then, if I remember correctly, I read it the other day, I'm sorry guys. Yes, there was, apparently they heard him and his brother heard some commotion going on outside, which sounded like a scuffle or a fight or something. His brother or his cousins or whoever he's with wanted to go check it out, but Eben said, no guys, let's just hang back 5 minutes and wait to see, let the situation just die down before we leave, and then we'll go home. So he said they waited till it quieted down a bit, and then they left. And then once upon leaving, Eben now and his girlfriend were nearly run over by a car backing out the parking lot or something like that. Eben then confronted that guy and was like, hey, you need to be careful where you're driving, blah blah blah, whatever. The story goes on from there. They go to their cars, and as they're leaving the sort of parking area, Eben's car is then pelted with stones. I believe maybe the back window was broken or something. Well, even if it wasn't, he stopped the car, he got out, and he wanted to ask, hey, listen guys, who threw the stone, because that's kind of not on. The story goes on, continues. Eventually, he says that things got escalated by people he didn't know. People sort of jumped in from everywhere, he says, and it was kind of like a big brawl, fight, or whatever you want to call it, scuffle. He goes on to say that his brother ran down a sort of dark alleyway or something, and he went to follow him, just, he didn't want his brother to get hurt, went to go call him back to the car and stuff, and then they apparently left after that. So, yeah, and he in his statement he says there was never a racial incident, there was never a weapon used. And basically he's claiming all innocence in this. What I will say about the issue is, both sides obviously have their story. Both sides have reason to lie in this case. Eben has reason to lie because he's currently at the World Cup with the Springboks, and they have a chance of winning the World Cup. So obviously he would have incentive to lie about what happened that night. His story that he told is perfectly plausible. I mean, I've been on many nights out where things happen and people get involved. They don't even know. You get those guys that are just out looking for kak and looking for drama and looking for a fight. So, his story is perfectly plausible. However, the opposite side is that the other story is also perfectly plausible as well, because we actually don't know. The only people who know are the people who were there that night. So this story will forever be, I don't understand how anyone will be able to get the truth out in this matter. I think the likely conclusion will probably be sort of what did I want to say now? A settlement agreement will probably be made. I doubt they'll get enough evidence to find Eben guilty. That's not to say he's not guilty. I don't know, guys. I hope that I would hope that he's not guilty of some racist, slurs and waving a weapon around and that sort of thing. But you just never know these days, and it's like I said earlier in an earlier podcast. It's sad that it happened to him, but if he is being racist, he needs to be educated that that's not okay, and that's not how you treat people. So yeah, like I say, guys, this case is pure hearsay. It's he said, she said, and I doubt we'll ever get the true story out. Because everyone tells their own version of events. You can never remember an event in its entirety. Our brain isn't wired that way, so you remember sort of stages of it. And by the sounds of things, guys were drinking, and that alcohol and remembering things isn't always a perfect mix. Trust me, I know that one. So what I don't like is these support petitions for Ibn Etzebeth. Now, you're just blindly supporting this guy. You don't know if he's guilty or not. I understand wanting to show him support, but signing a petition to say that he's not guilty or he's not racist, you don't know him. So how can you say that he's not racist? Or that the incident didn't happen or whatever? It's fine, support him through social media, but I got your back, blah, 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 whatever. But also, I think wait till the story is out and whether he's found guilty or not, then we can show him support. Or we can tell him, listen, that's not good enough as a Springbok rugby player. So, I don't like these petitions that are going around. I don't like, this all these sort of things with Eben and stuff. I would say, if it was up to me, I would want that stuff removed and let's just wait until we can find out what really happened, if we ever find out what really happened. But blindly supporting someone, I think is a bit, I think it's just jumping the gun. And I think, if he was being racist, then you're supporting a racist. So, then you're going to have to go back and retract what you said, unless you are too racist as well. So you stepping on very thin ice when you start supporting someone when you don't know the full story, guys. So be there for him and like his posts or whatever, and show him support. But I think the petitions and stuff that he's innocent, you just don't know that. So let's wait and see on that one. Obviously I'll bring it to you. It's obviously an interest story at the moment, but I'll bring that story to you as and when it happens, guys. Last but not least, we're going to have a little quick look at the Proteas, a little preview of their third test match. So the third test starts tomorrow at 6 o'clock in the morning. Wow, that's early, I know. I'll be up at 6 because I'm actually playing cricket tomorrow morning myself. My first game for my new club, actually, Fisher Cricket Club. Lost my way a bit now. The Proteas, yes, the Proteas. So they start 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. And for the most part in this series, we've been outplayed, guys. But, we've got to have hope and we've got to have faith. And as a South African supporter, we've got to be there for the boys and show them support. And I think less criticism, There were a few stories out in the week saying, look, guys, it's going to take a while to rebuild. They've lost the likes of Hash. They've lost the likes of Dale, JP. These are guys that have been stalwarts in the South African team for a long time. And AB and even Morkel also, I think, last year as well. So we've lost most of the dominating factors in our cricket. And we've just got to be... I think we've just got to be a bit patient with the guys that are there. Now, I must admit, I do think there are mistakes being made. But when you've got a sort of new side and you've got a new coach and you've got guys coming in it's extremely difficult to get everything right straight away. It almost never happens. So what I would like to see is just a bit of a change in game plan from the skipper and from the coaching side as well. I think the batting order needs to be looked at. Obviously, it will be looked at now. Aiden Markram. If you're a cricketer, you know this. He lashed out at a solid object. In other words, he punched the wall when he got out. Now, I must admit, I've done it too. It's not the best way to vent your frustration because obviously in Aiden's case, he's gotten injured. But it happens sometimes, guys. This is, it's frustrating when you want to do well for your country and you can't seem to at the moment. I think Aiden has a massive future, but again, I don't think that Aiden's future is opening the batting. I really don't. I see him more in Faf's spot when Faf moves on, 3 or 4. That's where I see Aiden, because that's where he bats for his franchise. So if he's not going to bat there for his franchise, then he shouldn't be batting there for the Proteas. The only guy that's sort of done that in the recent past and done it well is Dean Algar. He was sort of a middle order, 4-5 batter for the Titans, and then now they asked him to open for the Proteas. And initially he didn't go too well, but now he's flipping stunning opening batsman. He's brilliant. He's that rock at the top of the order. So I think, I think maybe either what we need to do is be patient with Aiden and understand that he's going to make mistakes, or we need to find a proper opening batsman, someone who opens at franchise level and bring them in and push Aiden further down. So what I would like to see with the batting order is obviously Algar, and then I'd like to see someone else open the batting, not Aiden. I think he's better suited at 4-5. So I would go with Algar and a proper opening batsman, and let that guy learn the ropes at test level. Then at 3 I would have Faf, at 4 I'd have Aiden, 5 I would have Bavuma, and 6 I would have Quinny the Cock. And that's the top 6 that I would go for now. Then obviously Vern at 7, and then depending on who you pick, 9, 10 and 11, 8, 9, 10 and 11. But yeah, that's what I would see. Either that, or I'd like to see Quinton move up the order quite a bit, to 4. You could even swap Quinton and maybe Aiden. No, not Aiden. You could have Quinton at 4 and then 5 Aiden, 6 Bavuma. I think that lineup looks a lot stronger on paper, and I think whoever the opening batsman is that we get in, he'd have a massive role, a massive opportunity at the top of the order. But I think that would be better suited because you've got now your sort of ducks in a row. You've got Algar, Faf and Quinton in all after each other. Obviously it could backfire and they could get out early, but I think if they did, they would still bat a long enough amount of time to allow the shine to get off the ball or whatever, and then you've got wonderful players coming in 5, 6 and 7. So I think that's the way I would go with it, with the batting lineup anyway. Just looking at the change in game plan that I would implement. So bowling a bit straighter. So I think for the most part we've bowled sort of South African lengths, and we've got guys to play and miss up front, but it's not good enough. We have to be a little bit straighter, a little bit fuller, make them play a bit more. When the ball's that little bit fuller, you're going to get the edge. And I think we've just been stuck in our South African lengths. And don't get me wrong, they're good lengths up front to bowl in South African conditions. In Indian conditions, you've got to get the ball up there, because if you don't, you're not going to get wickets up front. If you don't get wickets up front, you better have very good spinners. And we've seen that our spin department is not good enough at the moment. So, well, they're not confident enough at the moment. Maybe also perhaps bowling with the wrong sort of field. So I would set probably a bit more attacking fields for the spinners. Obviously it's a partnership with the captain and the spinner himself, and I just think the confidence is low at the moment, and I don't think we confident enough to have those attacking fields for the Indian batsmen, and I think that's something we're going to have to look at, where there's points in the game where we can attack and go and try and get wickets, and then there's also periods where we have to defend, and sometimes defending is attacking. Like I said last week, there was a moment in the game where I thought we could have given Kohli one because Jadeja couldn't get it off the square, and then one Kohli gets frustrated because now he's only getting one. He's playing perhaps like for cricketers out there, you play a beautiful cover drive, you want 4 for it. He's playing a beautiful cover drive, he gets 1. Plays a great straight drive, he gets 1. Plays a good pull shot, gets 1. Eventually, Kohli's the type of player, he wants to move the game on. He's going to want to either try and find the fence or do something to get a boundary. So that's one thing I think we could do, and then just more attacking fields in general. And then with the bat, yes. So with the bat, I think Dean Alger, I think he did an interview on one of the channels, and then he said that the guys need to just go back to basics, and I fully agree with him. I think we are maybe outthinking ourselves at the moment with the bat, especially. I think we trying to have this sort of plan in our heads of how things are going to go instead of just see the ball, hit the ball. Eden Markham's not playing in this game, but in the last game he got out twice to I know he's susceptible to the ball on the pads, but that's usually when it's swinging or seaming around. Umesh Yadav was bowling pretty much straight up and down, and he hit him twice in front, and the first one, I think both of them actually, if Aiden's in good form, which he was before the start, he got 200s, he puts those balls away for 4, and I think he's just thinking too much about other things going on in the game. Obviously it's difficult when you've been in the field for that amount of time to concentrate mentally and physically as well. That's another factor that you need to consider when you see your side post 600 and 500. It's very difficult to come out as an opening batter. You've been on the field for so long, you get literally 10 minutes rest, and you're back on the park, and now you've got to switch on from ball 1. It's a tough task. Having said that, the batting, it hasn't gone according to plan, and I'm glad that Alga's, calling for guys to go back to basics. And he's the guy that needs to set the precedent now, because he's the opening batter. And I think he's the guy that personifies doing the basics perfectly. It's very much see ball, hit ball, leaves extremely well. That's what you need to do as an opening batter. So I'm impressed with what the guys are saying coming out of the camp. But saying things and implementing them is two different stories, and we'll have to wait and see if the Proteas can hopefully execute their game plans a bit better in this next test. And obviously with test championship points on the line, the third test becomes very important, because you lose a series but you still get a bit of points from the series, and hopefully like if India lose a game down the line or something like that, this game can come back, and we can get some points from it. It's also important for the confidence of the guys for the next test series, which we will be playing against England later in the year. England obviously extremely strong side at the moment. They just drew with Australia. I think England and Australia are kind of on par at the moment. They're both really good sides in Test cricket, and England obviously winning the World Cup as well. So that'll be a great one to look out for. But England are a very settled side. We're a side at the moment that's going through a transitional period. So we'll have to wait and see if Enoch is still in charge. I think he will be. I don't know if he's going to be appointed on a permanent basis. We'll have to wait and see. He'll be judged for obviously this performance in India and going forward. But I don't think this performance in India should go too much on his resume because of all the changes that have been made. So that's pretty much all I've got for you this Friday, guys. See, yes, don't forget to get out and support the box. Obviously, it's Box Friday today, so I've got my Box jersey on, supporting the guys. Guys, get out there, support the box. I want to see flags and jerseys and all sorts of things on Sunday, and support the guys, and hopefully we can bring the cup home. Obviously support our cricket boys as well. They going through a rough period, and this is when they need the fans now. This is where we need to send the messages on Twitter and on Facebook and whatever platform you have them on, and just say, how's it, guys? Give it horns tomorrow and fucking come out with a win, and do your country proud. Guys, thanks for watching me. Guys, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe here on our YouTube channel, The Fair Digest, and also on our online magazine, thefairdigest.com. Guys, also get your comments in below. I'd love to hear from you guys and what you think of the show and the fan channel and the Wild Protea. So, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Cheers.